Hey y'all, we are back and this video is going to be a little bit different because I am currently traveling and I'm in my hotel room and I have this grant that is about to expire and I really want individuals to have an opportunity to apply for this grant because it is a first of its kind. If you get anything of value out of the video, beginning, middle, or end, if you can please like, share, comment, all of that goodness. Also, it's going to be more difficult for me to see the comments because I don't have my other equipment with me. So I'll try to like toggle between the two, but I'm not sure if I will be able to do it. I know I'll be able to see the comments probably more towards the end of the video, but as I'm trying to share it and just to get the information out, I'm not ignoring the comments if there are any. I'll definitely respond to them when I see them. What I'm going to do first and foremost, we're going to go into this Discord so you all can see. I actually was able to post this in the Discord a couple of days ago, but then I had to, wait until I had space throughout my schedule in order for me to get on camera and try to quickly walk through this one. So this is one of those opportunities where you were a part of the Discord, you would have been able to start applying for this grant because I think it's fairly simple, but it's a different grant because it is focusing a lot on creators who typically are not the target for grants. You can apply for grants, but they're not going to be specific to individuals who are creatives. So I'm going to share the screen really quickly. Move that around. So here's the Discord. It is, you have the Patreon, but then the Patreon is attached to the Discord. I don't think I'm going to be able to put the Patreon in the comments, which I normally do, but here we are. Actually, no, because that's going to give you the Discord. This one is going to be a little discombobulated because I don't have what I typically have in front of me to make this as smooth as possible. And as many of you know, I currently do not edit videos because I don't know how to do that just yet. So you kind of get what you get with me. And this one probably will be a little wonky, but stay along with me. So we have, of course, the general section where I just post general things, whether it's like this one was a grant writing seminar. So individuals that might have been interested in grant writing, that's going to be more in your general section. And then I have the for-profit grant, which is going to be where I posted this grant 3 days ago. And then it's just all of it is just different categories, but also I have documents in here. I have your business plan, your pitch deck, if you're interested in drop shipping, Airbnb, checklist, plus this one is a complete guide, essentially start to finish. If you're trying to get into the Airbnb industry, if you don't know where to start, what to think about, what to do, that is here. I have my international grants, and those are going to be grants for individuals. Actually, some of them are going to be both the US as well as if you're international, but there are some that are specific to, you have to be in Canada, you have to be in Africa. There was one for, where was it? Australia. So those are going to be those types of grants. If you're not inside of the US, but you're actually still looking for grant opportunities, that's there. As soon as I post a YouTube video, I upload them here. So then individuals, even if you are one of my subscribers and for whatever reason you didn't turn on the notification bell, or you did and you didn't get a notification, if you're a part of the Discord, I have that here. So then you don't have to wonder if you missed the grant opportunity that I'm posting. Then state specific, that's going to be whatever state you're in. Like I'm currently sitting in Missouri, and if there's a grant that is specific to Missouri, it's going to be in there. I know there's been several that I've posted that's specific to Georgia, Atlanta, by way of Atlanta. There's been some for North Carolina. There's been some for Wisconsin. I feel like I've almost touched most of the states. There's been New Jersey, New York, all of that. So state specific is going to be in there, and then nonprofits. I know I probably say this every video or close to. I have not forgot. I am still trying to figure this out because I cannot get into a lot of the portals because I don't have the EIN number, nor do I have tax exempt status. So it's harder for me to do the walkthroughs, but I definitely post a lot of grants in here. And this grant that we're going to discuss is unrestricted. And for nonprofits, now, This grant isn't for nonprofits. So I don't want you to say this is connecting the dot to that. No, with nonprofits, it is imperative that you get those unrestricted funds, especially if you are a startup. You don't want funds that's earmarked for programming, but you have no data because you haven't done any programming yet. Here, I post a lot of those unrestricted funds for individuals that are trying to get that nonprofit off of the ground. And also, I offer consulting services. I will put my, and then I don't know why this thing keeps dinging. Let me turn this off because it's getting distracting for me. Okay. So I also post, yeah, I lost my train of thought and I can't even, edit this out. But consulting. I offer consulting services. And with those services, I do assist individuals if you're trying to start a nonprofit, if you're trying to apply for tax exempt status, if you're trying to figure out, how to get your business going. And I also have it where you can kind of just pick my brain on anything. It could be things from, getting into law school. It could be, getting, purchasing your first home, because I do real estate part-time. Literally, whatever you deem that I am expert enough in that you want to pay for those services and have that conversation, you can book that type of consultation. I also want to add here that I do have a video on this rent to own program. If you can see this here. And with this program, what happens is you literally you'll go through, an application process. There's a soft pull on your credit, so it doesn't really affect your credit score. You have to have a minimum of a 550 credit score for the program, but you get to pick the home that you want, right? You go and pick the home, they pay cash for it, you rent it for a year or 2 years, depending on what program you fit into. But it's not like you find a house that you're like, I guess I'll take this home, versus no, this is my dream home at the moment. I'm not in a position to purchase that home, but maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll be in a position to get a mortgage. And then what you would do is you will go and get your mortgage and purchase the home from the individuals, well, not the individuals, the corporation that then originally paid the cash for the home for you to rent it. I'm not going to go into all of the details because the video is there. So if that is something that you are interested in and you're in a position where, I'm tired of renting, but I know I can't buy, but my goal is to rent for the next year or two, you might as well lock in whatever home value you can get today and then see if you can, go through this program. Now, so I think I have covered all of that. Now, let's get into the grants. So with this grant, first and foremost, it is for $20,000. Unrestricted funds. Unrestricted mean, now y'all, when I say unrestricted, please use the money for your business. Like, you can't get the $20,000 and say, I'm finna go on a luxury vacation, because this is also, it's a 6-month fellowship. So with the fellowship, you're gonna get mentorship, you're gonna get monthly meetings. You're also going to get, not just with the monthly and the mentors, you're gonna get connected with industry leaders. And you're probably going to be a part of this program forever. And this is their inaugural program. Now, the deadline is July 17th. It's the 15th. But when I tell you the application is fairly easy, it is fairly easy. So you have enough time to submit your application. And they're going to be selecting 20 creators. And it has to be individual. So you cannot apply as a group. You cannot apply as a corporation. You cannot have been funded by major funders in this specific industry. You also have to be at least 18 years of age. It is for creators that identify as a creator of color. You also have to, your project has to be one that uplifts communities of color. And when you think of, when they say of color, it doesn't just mean Black, right? So if you identify as a person of color, you're eligible to apply for this grant. And I got some notes here. And again, We just have to read some of them, mainly because I'm trying to make this work. You also have to tell not only just uplifting the community, but urgent stories of those communities. Also, this is specific to individuals who story tell through pictures. So you don't necessarily have to be a photographer, but it has to be something that is storytelling through pictures. So the sponsoring organization or company is going to be Google. So to get in with Google is going to be amazing. And let me tell you why they have started this, which I thought was amazing. They've decided to start this because there are in the industry, the photo industry, if you will. And let me add, this is not my lane. Okay, I'm not a photographer. I'm not someone that story tells through pictures. So we're going to go through the grants. But I think considering they're looking more at the artistic piece of it, is not going to be as important when we get to some of the other sections. They're mainly interested in the impact of your photos. Now, back to why it started. What they said is there's inequities, not just in photos, but in the technology. So there's these technologies, and I don't know what they are. So I'm giving you, high level. I don't do pictures. I don't know camera, but these technologies that exist, they are not equitable for individual color. And you take pictures and you buy all of these different softwares and programming, what they do is they make darker toned individuals look lighter than what they are, or it makes them look like someone that they're not. So what they're trying to do is Google is trying to be more mindful and equitable in the equipment choices that they put out, in the software that they put out, and also just making sure that they are accurately telling the story of those communities of color. And one of the things that they said that they started with, so they said it's unnaturally desaturating the skin. Now, if you're a photographer, I'm sure you know what desaturating the skin means. I do not know what that means, but I do know what when they say over brightening, because that has been one of my qualms when I get photos, or if somebody's trying to edit something, or what is that people use? Filters. So I don't do filters. I don't like filtering my pictures, because any filter that I see, except for if you do black and white, I look lighter toned. So I prefer, when I take my pictures, I just post them. I don't post filter photos, because it makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me feel like I'm not being true to myself. It also makes I don't feel as gorgeous. Like, I like my super dark skin when, I take a regular photo without filtering it. And I never even thought about this in that depth of the inequities that exist from the filtering systems that are currently put in place, where when you do an auto correct on your phone, it always auto corrects me to be lighter, as if my skin tone isn't acceptable. So this is something where I think it's going to be, I'm going to say, groundbreaking. It's going to change the industry. It's going to shake some things up. And for you to be a part of this inaugural class, I can envision, when they get their next cohort, that you will probably be invited to talk to them about your experience. So definitely, if you have the time, if you don't have the time, make the time, because we have a lot of hours in between now and July 17th. Also, when you're working on the final project, you can use any software. So they're not saying that you have to use Google software in order for the project. Now, what you do need to submit, you submit a project that you worked on that's been impactful to a community of color. And with that project, you have to submit a minimum of 5 photos. You can submit up to 20, but there has to be a minimum of 5 that is telling a story. And then also with this submission, you have to make sure that, now, we gonna go to the grant for this one, but there's these parameters like pixels. I think, I don't know this terminology, so I'm definitely gonna read it word for word, but just making sure that it fits whatever parameter, size, JPEG, PNG, all these other, photography tech terms that I know if you're gonna be applying for this specific fellowship slash grant. And also think about the fact, $20,000 grant, but the other stuff that you're going to get. And then if you're selected in the program, whatever project you submit to them is submitted online. And then also there is a physical exhibit of your work, and each person that they partner with is going to physically post your photos, not online. It's going to be an exhibit somewhere. So it could be in various cities. So this is invaluable exposure for you as a photographer if you're trying to take yourself to the next level. But again, you cannot have already had institutional influence, institutional support. You cannot be, your submission cannot be on behalf of a gallery. So essentially, if you've already made it, because they want new creators, startup creators is what they're looking for. They're looking for individuals that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to be on such a national platform. So if you've already been there, you likely won't get selected, but if you're a newbie, and you don't even necessarily have to be a newbie. I'm going to take that back. If you could have been in the industry 10 plus years, 20 plus years, but you haven't had that boost from institutions or galleries, etc., this is an opportunity for you. And then you can submit already published works. So let's say you worked on a project, you published the project, it was in newspapers, it was at a gallery, at an exhibit. I don't know where else y'all get published, but if that is the case for you, you can resubmit that work. You can also submit a project that you are currently working on that has not been finished yet. So let's say, I don't know, you're working on something, you found the perfect 10 and have 50 images. You could submit 10 images for this application and potentially, get selected. As I said earlier, it cannot be a group. So if you have a photography company or you have a photography team, it has to be individual submissions. So what I would recommend, if you do have a team and all of you identify as people of color, each person can submit a project, because I'm pretty sure if you all were working as a collective and you are all photographers, not, you got the photographer, you got the assistant, you got, I don't know if a lighting person is a thing for a photography group. It would have to be a person that's behind the camera. But if you have multiple people that are behind the camera and then multiple people who have their own photos that they've taken now, you can't say that I'm the assistant and then I'm going to submit my application, but the pictures were taken by someone else. So don't do that. The $20,000 is taxable. We talk about this, y'all. Y'all got to pay these taxes. So do not try to figure out a way to skirt this, because what they're going to do, you have to fill out a W-9, which means they're going to report to Mr. Sam that they gave you $20,000. So if you are selected, just make sure, and I'm not an accountant, so I don't know what percentage tax is, because that's your tax bracket. So whatever that percentage is, take that out of that $20,000 and just put it aside in case, you owe at tax time, which is a beautiful thing, right? If you owe money, that means you made money. So always remember that. Also, the deadline is July 17th at 3 a.m. Okay, 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So you got to get it together. The two things that's going to take your time, which shouldn't take your time, and I'm really going to say the one, but it's two things outside of uploading these photos, is your resume, which you should already have that. And then secondly, your bio, which you should have that too. But I think if you have, just a general bio, of course you will want to change that to say what is your impact on communities of color? And then, what is your passion? With all of that, like, share, comment. notification bell so you can know when these things happen. But let me pull up the grants. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna see. Well, now let me take 1 second and see if maybe I'll be able to see YouTube quickly. Because like I said, this is different. But it seems like it's letting me go there. It did. Okay. Oh, I can see the comments. Thank you, Project. Yeah, I know. I curled it. I tried to do something different. Where do we go for the $20,000 grant? I am about to pull that up in like 0.5 seconds. Good morning, Miss Alice. You are welcome, TW. Thanks, Miss Call. You're being your true self helps make like you because it's a lot of work being someone else. Let me say this one more time. Being your true self helps make life easier because it's lots of work being someone else. And that is true. You can only be you. So yeah, I think that's a good morning message. Now, let me try to go back to the grants. Or you know what I'm trying to say. I need to share my screen. Uh-oh, we lost the screen, y'all. You're welcome, Minds of Gold. But yeah, I have lost my screen. I don't know where I'm at. Oh, here I am. Okay. Let me share the screen before we be sitting here forever. Okay, share screen. Here we go. Oh, Lordy. All right. We are here. It is the Image Equity Fellowship. So if you go to contests with an S, so contests.com, I'm sorry, contest.picture, P as in Paul, I, C as in cat, T as in Tom, ER.com /Google. But it'll pop itself up. Or if you just do a Google search for Google Image Equity Fellowship, it's gonna pop up as well. So Google Image, which we have here. Let me move this out of the way. Image Equity Fellowship. So what I want to do is I want to go down to some of the FAQs because I didn't want to write them all down, but these are the industry leaders that you'll get to connect with. And of course, for myself, I don't know who they are, but I'm pretty sure some of you might know who these individuals are, and you get to work with them one-on-one. And I'm just going to show the picture because I don't want to mispronounce words, but we can say Mr. Klink, Ahmed, and then the next person, and you can go to the website and read their bios. We have Mr. Harris, Miss Walker, B. Walker, if you've heard of her, or the gentleman, Mahanila, I don't know, possibly. Don't be mad if it's not right. Ms. Hockley. All right, so here's the workshops. I wanted to go through these. So you're gonna have 6 workshops, and then also the timeline we wanna talk about. We have already talked about the deadline. The fellows will be selected on August the 15th. Your cohort begins on August the 29th. It concludes, I said August the 29th. Okay, no, August 15th of this year, you're selected. August the 29th, it does start. It ends February 2023, so next year, and then you're gonna do your showcase in June of 2023. Now, workshops, how to get work and sustain your art, financial, legal protection and planning. So this is once a month. So each month will be the workshop. Navigating the art world, gallery showings and publishings, navigating the commercial world, marketing, pitching, and sharing your work, community outreach and engagement, and then creative project management. We just went over the timeline and then the requirements. We've talked about your resume, your bio, and then JPEG and 3000 PX. I don't know if that's pixels or not, but I'm pretty sure the photographers, you know what that is. And then your project description, your project title, year, location, country, US only. This is US only opportunity. The description of the images, the location, country, etc. There's no entry fee. What I wanted to get at, you can submit individual entries. You cannot submit fewer than 5, minimum of 5. Otherwise, you will not be selected. So 5 images is required. Cannot live outside of the US. We talked about what unrestricted funds are. And then you maintain or retain the copyright. However, they will have a perpetual license to use anything submitted. But who doesn't want Google to use their images? Like, use them, showcase them, do what you need to do, because even if you're not selected, they might decide on runner-ups. There might be other opportunities that exist out there, but if you're selected, for sure, you want them to give you all of the exposure that you can get because you're now a part of this inaugural program. You can submit already published. You only can submit one portfolio. You cannot edit after the July 17th, but up until you can, change things. The money is taxable, which we've already discussed. And then image-based creators must center lens-based still imagery, photos, scans, collages, and there needs to be a clear and demonstrable tie back to lens-based still imagery. And then anything that isn't rooted in a lens-based image does not qualify. And then early career, which we discussed, lack of major institutional support and an extremely well client portfolio. Submit your resume and be sure to include any institutional background. And then you cannot collaborate with groups, which is what we discussed. Then you go into the application, which I already have this part open. So here they're going to just talk about, again, the requirements. You must self-identify as a person of color. And that's a totally different conversation, but this is definitely your self-identification. 18 years of age and have a valid US address, your W-9. And again, lens-based. It must be able to be shared digitally and demonstrable tied to the fellowship themes of equity and uplifting communities of color. Okay, like we discussed at the beginning, they're trying to, do better technology. We just went over that. So let's get into the profile. So you're going to give them your name, your birthday, nationality, gender pronouns, display name if you don't want to go by your main name if you have a nickname. Gender identity, do you identify as a person of color? If you say no, then you're not eligible to apply. If there's a disability, you do not have to disclose, but that is an option as well. They would like to have a profile picture of yourself so they can add on there. And then your region, you would select that. Are you represented by an agency? Now, although this is optional, this is one of those times where we've talked about before where you need to read the terms, FAQ, all of that. Because by you saying yes to being represented by an agency and or yes by being represented by a gallery, you're already ineligible because they put that in one of the FAQs, right? It wasn't mentioned on that first page where it's, $20,000 applications open, and then you put yes to this. Honestly, do not be dishonest, right? You tell them that you are represented by an agency or a gallery based on their requirements. You're not eligible to apply for this. And those small details that you don't read and don't pay attention to as a business owner can make or break you when you're applying for these grants. And then your profession. And let me go back to that. Let's say you are both represented by an agency and gallery, but you also freelance as well. So that still gives you the opportunity to apply. However, this is really for individuals that are starting off. Your biography, 15, you see, they say 1,500. It is not 1,500 words, it is 1,500 characters. So be mindful of that. Again, they want something brief, but they definitely want something impactful. And whenever you're doing these applications and you're required to write something, always go back to the root of the grant. This grant is rooted in uplifting, empowering communities of color, also thinking about the technology that take pictures of individuals of color. So yes, you will have this biography, but they're going to want to know, what have you done that's impactful? What is your mission in your business that's going to tie back to the inequities that they've already mentioned? So just think about that. They don't just want to hear that, you know, I started photography 10 years ago. I really enjoyed taking pictures and I got my first camera at 5. And that's when I knew this is what I wanted to do. That tells them nothing about how are you uplifting communities, right? It says nothing about your storytelling. It says nothing about any of those things that they're looking for. It might be a nice biography, but you're not gonna get this grant with that type of biography. Even with your resume, you know, projects that you worked on that were specific to communities of color. When I think about St. Louis, I think about the riots that happened, you know, attached to Mike Brown. And there were definitely photographers that I'm aware of where I saw their work and it was very impactful, right? They got that right shot and they were in the right, you know, in the right place, the right time. They were immersed in that experience, but they were looking at it from an artistic lens and telling the story, and you getting the emotions that individuals were feeling behind just one picture, right? It's not just clicking that picture, it's what story and what is being pulled out of that. Because when I looked at some of those pictures, like I can literally think about the pain of that community that had been progressing way before that happened. So more of that type of impact is what they're looking for. So individuals that might have that resume that discuss that experience and showing that they did that work, because some of them were published in papers and some of them were, I don't know the title, but photographers, you'll know, like a newspaper photographer. I know that is not their job title, but somebody that does that, if that's on your resume, right? And we out in St. Louis, we have the St. Louis American, which is typically the paper that is specific to communities of color. So someone that is working there as a photographer will definitely be able to tell that story of why they selected to apply for that position is because their commitment to their communities, and they want to make sure that the stories are told in a manner that is respectful, that in a manner that is that accurately reflects their community. Or it could be that they're from those communities, and what they notice in the papers is typically something of, you know, there's been another shooting or a robbery, and then you have a Black person inside of the paper, because we have a majority paper that typically does that. But then in the St. Louis American, you have all of these Black excellence awards that happen. So we get to see the positive things that are happening inside our community that is not typically told through these larger publications. And this paper is free. The other one you have to pay. So I have to pay to see people that look like me as robbers, murderers, etc. Then this free paper, I get to see, you know, the successful, impactful, empowering, influential Black people. So things like that is where like it has to like hit your emotion in the gut when you're doing it, or, you know, doing your resume and things like that. And then here's just your contact information. And if you have a website, Instagram, if you're a photographer, you hopefully you have a website, Instagram, maybe Twitter. I don't have Twitter, so I don't, you know, I don't know, but Facebook, I would think, you know, a Facebook business page. And then here you're going to talk about the work. You're going to talk about the project title, whatever you called it. the year that you did it, location, and then the description. Again, it's 2000, but it's 2000 characters. So whatever the description is, but the description again is going to be tied to the storytelling from the pictures. And I would say if you have the space for 5 to 20 photos, I don't know if 20 is too much. And maybe you have like super impactful pictures, but I know I wouldn't just do the minimum. If they say the minimum is 5, I want to be more than minimum. I want to do a little bit more than the minimal requirements, which is those 5 photos. And then after that, that's it. You go to the submission page. Of course, they're not going to let me submit it because I haven't done anything. So, you'll get all these red flags. We've already went through the terms and conditions, but this is here if this is something that you really want to go through, as you should. And let me say this, if you're still here and listening, because I had someone, I'm going to stop sharing this, and then actually I'm going to take this and put it in the chat. So that should be helpful. And then I can put my website in the chat. So that's going to be the link to that. And then the Patreon is going to have to be in the, what is that, description box? Because I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get to it. If individuals are interested in that. And I have not lost my train of thought. It is still sitting there. But I want to see if I'm able to do this. Like I said, it's taking a little bit longer because I'm in my hotel room, y'all. But while this is, because it's going kind of slow, always, always, always do your own due diligence, please. I had someone reach out to me and they asked me, did I vet a company or did I vet something that I had mentioned, which I'm not going to mention something to individuals where I have not done my own research, where I have not decided that, okay, I want to put this out there. However, I don't care who it is. Just because I'm an attorney, that does not mean anything. Attorneys get ethic violations. Attorneys get disbarred daily. So as a business owner, don't trust anything that I'm saying either. Go and confirm and verify before you decide that this is Bible, right? So that's the one thing I definitely want to put out there. Thank you, Minds Ago. Yes, my work ethic. I definitely think that is important for sure. Now, does anyone have any questions? I'm going to take a couple seconds to see because I do got to get back to the reason that I am traveling. But again, like, share, comment, what is that? The bell, yeah, the notification bell, all of that goodness. So if I don't see any questions, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to sign off. But I definitely want to thank everyone for taking the time to sit here with me and work through the kinks of not having all of the equipment that I would typically have. And I will definitely be posting a couple more grants next week when I am back home. But if there is not anything else, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend, all of that goodness. And I will see you all next time.